Jim, we did a free webinar the other night, and one of the themes was this phrase, how do you choose? And what I'm noticing is that when I'm on the internet, ads come up for things that are tangential to what I looked at. So for example, I'm looking at a cap, and suddenly there's all these other ads for that cap or other caps. And it's like there's someone out there watching and giving me more of what I'm asking for, kind of like the law of attraction. But because we're being fed all of this by the machine, more than ever, it's important to consciously choose.
Yeah, well, this is artificial intelligence. This is Google, Facebook, Amazon, all of the friends that you have created in life here, the computers. And you basically said, sure, track my information and pay attention to what I like.
Well, not intentionally, didn't
Well,
say
both
that.
intentionally and non-intentionally. Sometimes we say, oh yeah, send me more of something like this, because it's something, in fact, you're interested in. But then it begins to be a tangent. It said you liked skydiving, and so here we're going to show you parasailing, and we're going to show you windsurfing, etc., etc.
But I'm not interested in windsurfing.
You're not interested in a lot of the things you think, at least the computer says, we think you might be interested in these. And so they're all commercial sales in one way, but they were also very much programming in another way. And so the piece that's worth having this conversation about is who's choosing?
Mm-hmm.
Who's doing the choosing? And there's really going to be two parallel paths that are unfolding. One where it is choosing, AI and the computers are choosing for you. And there's a point where you get clear about what is it that I would like to experience. And the average population doesn't pay attention. And so it says, oh, that might be really interesting. I'd like to do that. And then all of a sudden your life is on this tangent moving over here. And then at some point, you're only given these choices.
Yeah.
And you have no clue. See, this is the overwhelm of information. You basically get so much information that you start choosing from the information that pops up on your screen.
When there's other options available, the algorithm is just not showing you those other options.
Exactly.
So you're kind of being directed into this narrow band of what's possible when really there's this much possible.
Yeah. And see, this isn't really a lot different than how news is developed in the last number of years. It basically started out where you had lots of choices. Or the news would tell you about this range of things. Bad news, good news, interesting kind of things going on. And then it started getting in the 80s really very specific. I mean, this was intentional. It started to play with your brain. It started to basically give you just selected sets of news. And then it also gave you news that was challenging. AIDS this week, and then the war in Somalia this week, and then hurricanes in this week. And what happened, it was all tragic and shocking type of news. War, killings, death, etc. And the mind began to get really numb to it. And it also began to be programmed into an expectation of this is how life is.
Well, and maybe even a level of fear or terror, or these bad things are out there, and all we're fed is the bad things.
Right.
So that's all we think is out there, so people go into fear.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you basically are controlled. This is a consciously intentional process. Now, who does it? All the who's. It's the businesses, it's the sales modality. One of the things about sales training that is very clear in sales training, having done lots of those different programs, is you put something before somebody 6 times. It doesn't matter if they see it 6 times, the probability that they will buy it
At the 6th time.
somewhere in those 6 times is very high, and mostly at the 6th time. So if you put war in Afghanistan before the person constantly, they basically have an opinion that the only thing that happens in Afghanistan is war. And the same thing's going to happen and is happening here. I only have one kind of vitamin to choose from, or this is my truth. So the law of attraction is absolutely working, but whose attention
Right.
is the law of attraction paying attention to?
Well, and that's where it's really important to develop discernment so we're not sucked into that pathway.
Well, that's the point here in this conversation. So how do you choose?
Yeah.
And as we've said so many times, most people are not in present time. They're out in the future. They're paying attention to something that happened in my past. Here, I've seen this ad 5 times, and here it is the 6th time. So it must be good because I've seen it 5 times. We basically are programmed into this space. So as an individual, and a conscious individual, particularly on a spiritual path, how do I choose begins to be not just a throwaway line in one way. It's really a focus of what you want. Because I mean, as you said at the beginning, you looked up something and then here's this whole series of ads. And I was reading something the other day for my biomedical business, looking up a particular bacteria, and here comes these whole sets of ads about how to fight that bacteria if you have stomach flu or whatever it is. Well, I wasn't even in that mode.
Yeah.
I was doing a research project, and here comes all of this stuff. And if I was to click on that particular aspect, the next time I would get something that was a tangent to that said, and, oh, by the way, this also. And so you're going to see much more of this.
And I can see where people would notice this and say, oh, there's a conspiracy, or they're out to get me, or it's Big Brother, and maybe all of those things are true.
They are all true.
But do I want to push against it? Do I want to put my attention on that noise, or do I simply want to say, no, thank you, and continue deliberately, consciously on where I'm going?
Right. So here's another aspect of discerning. If your whole ideology is conspiracies and the government and the aliens are coming type of thing, good luck with that.
Yeah.
But understand that this whole process of artificial intelligence on this side of the coin is really getting specific. I mean, you'll say, I like that hat, and somewhere it'll say, why do you like it? Because it's brown. Now, all of a sudden, you've really narrowed in. The machine says she likes brown. And so we're going to start showing her brown shoes, brown purses, brown combs, brown cars. We're going to show her things in the color brown. And it's very, very sophisticated. Don't underestimate the sophistication. But my suggestion is don't go to conspiracy. So I'm going to say really clear, it is a conspiracy. It is businesses trying to figure out how to sell you something. It is organizations trying to get you to make a donation. It is the government trying to figure out what your level of tolerance of a certain concept might be, and are you going to go into the streets rioting if we say X, or are you just going to get annoyed if we say X? So understand that is a conscious, intentional set of strategies by the system at large. But stay out of it, is it bad or good type of thing. They are after you, but they're not after you to lock you up in jail particularly, or
hurt you in
any way. But understand that's how the system works. So how do you choose? Because in this particular time, I mean, you say, gee, I like oil stocks. And all of a sudden you start getting this level of suggestion about stocks, or here's how you can make money. And I watch a lot of people ask constantly, give me financial information, something we refuse to do. I will not give you financial advice. But is this stock okay? Or, gee, I just have a little bit of money. Where should I put it so it's safe? And the challenge on that thread is they usually ask when it's too late.
Yeah.
And so pay attention here.
How do you choose?
How do you choose? So if you see something that looks really good, it may be good. It may not be good. How do you choose for yourself?
Yeah.
So this discernment in individual present time alignment is really important, because this structuring we're talking about is going to get far more sophisticated than it is now. And it's going to start showing up in ways very unexpected, even though you think you're in managing and control of this. You're not. Again, but not a bad thing. How do you choose?
Well, it forces, or it gives us all of us the opportunity to become more masterful.
It is all
Present
about
time, I'm consciously choosing this direction.
right. And we'll talk about this again more, but I've talked about these stratas of consciousness that are getting created. You know, a common reference to that is there's going to be two Earths created. Well, it's not so much two physical Earths that are being created, but the consciousness is creating stratas. And the more you are able to discern, manage, choose in your observation, versus going, oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, following along.
You're going to find that these stratas are going to start to do much more of this. And how you choose is going to be in a place where you're going to more likely enjoy yourself, or at least feel that you're able to manage your circumstances, versus finding yourself way down the pathway and then all of a sudden realizing, oh, that wasn't a good stock after all, or oh, I didn't understand that's what this meant. And that's a very uncomfortable place that we experience, and often we get a phone call or an email saying, this has happened, how do I get out of it? And that's really not the conversation that I want to have with people, or you want to have with anybody. So start to pay attention a little bit more. This is going to be more and more interesting, and more both challenging and exciting. So how do you choose?